Hi, I'm Tom Marks with the Marks Law Firm in Orlando, Florida, and welcome to the Healthy Family Law Attorney. So today I'm going to talk about retirement plans and how do you divide them. It's an interesting topic. It's a technical topic, so I'm going to keep this one short. I'm not going to get into the weeds, not going to get into too much detail. But when you hear some of these words, don't click off because it's going to be a little bit technical just to get started. So how do you divide a retirement plan and not have to pay taxes on the distribution? Let's say you get half of your spouse's retirement plan from his or her 401k. Well, you do that using a qualified domestic relations order. So we call it a Quadro. So the Quadro has to comply with three things. One, has to comply with the plan administrator's approval of that person's 401k plan. So if they're at a corporation or a governmental entity that you can do a Quadro with, you draft the Quadro. It has to be approved by the plan administrator. It also has to comply with a federal law known as ERISA, and that kind of dovetails with the Internal Revenue Code. So it's got to comply with ERISA, got to comply with the plan administrator, and then it has to comply with state law. So the actual order, the Qualified Domestic Relations Order, is a state order that you draft, get it approved by the plan administrator, and make sure it complies with ERISA. Okay, so this is something that is somewhat of a specialty in that certain lawyers, very limited number of lawyers, actually draft these Quadros. I send them out I have 2 or 3 lawyers that draft them that are highly skilled and excellent at what they do, getting it done. So there are a couple of ways to avoid filing or having to draft a Quadro, because Quadros can be expensive. They can run anywhere from $700, $800 and up a little bit, depending on what kind of plan it is. But it's typically a 401k plan or a 403b or some other type of qualified plan or pension. It can't be like a municipal pension, like for a firefighter, a police officer, that kind of thing. Now, one way to avoid having to do a Quadro is if your spouse has a 401k with a prior employer, not current employer. So then what you can do is take that 401k, convert it into an IRA, and then IRAs do not require Quadros. So then you can just divide it without having to pay a Quadro attorney to draft that. Okay, so a couple other things real quick. You have the plan administrator, you have the plan participant, the one who has the 401k or the like, and you are as a recipient, the alternate payee. So a couple more things. One, you may not want to wait for your spouse to retire to start receiving part of or half of their retirement plan. You may say, I would like to receive it now. So what we can do sometimes is, as part of the equitable distribution, you might receive like lump sum more from the sale of the house or a business or some other lump sum amount to avoid having to wait for the retirement to start kicking in. Okay. Another thing is, it depends on how long your spouse has had the retirement plan, and if they had the retirement plan prior to the marriage, because only that portion of the retirement plan that is from the date of the marriage to the date of filing of the petition for dissolution of marriage is actually considered marital. The part of the plan that accrued prior to the date of the marriage is non-marital. So how you determine what percentage you receive from your spouse's retirement plan is based on what we call a coverture fraction. So you take the number of months of the marriage, let's say you're married 50 months, and the number of months that your spouse actually had the retirement plan, let's say that's 100 months, well, then only 50 of 100 of the plan, of the retirement plan, is marital. So only half of it is marital, and then you would receive 50% of half, or 25% of the retirement plan, if that were the case. Okay, one more thing. The big reason to do a Quadro is to avoid having to pay tax on the distribution when the distribution is made currently. So there's no tax due on the distribution at the time of the divorce. There is tax if it's a deferred plan, meaning the 401k, you're putting money in pre-tax, knowing that you're going to pay tax on it when you take it out in retirement. So same thing would happen to you. When you start taking the money out in retirement years down the road, you'll have to pay tax on it. So that's why we treat retirement plans differently. I've done prior videos on equitable distribution and how we tax impact the retirement plans. So if you're receiving a retirement plan, and let's say there's $100,000 in there, it should not go on the equitable distribution worksheet as $100,000 you're receiving, because when you get it years down the road, you're going to have to pay federal income tax on it, which can be anywhere 20-25%, whatever bracket you're in. So you have to tax impact it on the equitable distribution worksheet, so that you apply that 20 or 25% and only count 80,000 or 75,000 in value, even though it has $100,000 in the account, because of the tax impact. Okay, I think that's enough for this one. Hope it's been some help. Quadros are very technical. You do need a lawyer who actually specializes in Quadros to draft it. Your lawyer should know someone who does that. So like and subscribe, hit that bell icon, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye-bye.